Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today, I've just come back from watching Shazam, and I cannot wait to review it for you guys. So I'm just gonna get on with it because, wow. So Shazam is the latest movie in the DC Extended Universe, focusing on the character of Billy Batson, who, when he becomes a superhero, is known as Shazam, because that is the word he must say to become the superhero. Now, the character themselves, I really don't know much about. I know the character was created in 1941, was originally called Captain Marvel, but it changed because, Captain Marvel, Marvel then created Captain Marvel, and it's very complicated. But what I do know about it is predominantly to do with the actors involved. So Angel, I don't actually know how to pronounce the last name. I know from his work in Andy Mack on Disney Channel. Zachary Levi, I predominantly know from Tangled, which kind of shows the sort of things that I watch. But I was excited to see what this film was going to be like, because it kind of took a different turn on what DC films were like, which were dark, grungy, angst. And this seemed to take a different kind of tone. So I was excited to see what DC, basically if DC were going to be able to pull it off. And, let's get into the review so you guys can find out if they did. So right now I'm officially issuing a spoiler alert right here. And if anyone who doesn't want to hear spoilers, there'll be a time popping up here for you to skip to get my overall thoughts and my final rating / scoring of the film as a whole. But until then, the spoilers start now. Now, Shazam opens up in actually kind of a dark sort of way. So we are introduced, ironically, to the villain at the very start of the film, but we're also introduced to the lore of Shazam. So Shazam is trying to find a champion to help take over his powers and continue his fight against the 7 deadly sins, which, yes, the 7 deadly sins exist and they are terrifying monsters. Like, I was freaked out by how creepy they were and the fact that they're real. So he finds this kid in the 70s called Thaddeus, who he thinks could be his champion. Now, Thaddeus is a kid who is basically bullied by his brother and his dad, who belittle him. They make him feel small and worthless. And when he is taken to Shazam and tested to see if he is pure of heart, because you must be to fight against the 7 deadly sins, he proves to not be, because he is blinded by his need to prove himself to his family, and as such he is sent back to them. We then skip to Shazam and the fact that his abilities are fading, so he needs to find a champion. Skip to modern day, where he still hasn't been able to find a champion, and Thaddeus has been searching for Shazam's lair ever since, and he manages to get there. He releases the 7 deadly sins, he absorbs them himself, and as such Shazam is more desperate than ever to find a champion. Enter Billy Batson, the runaway kid who is trying to find the mother that he lost when he was a very young boy. Now, he's been in foster care since that moment, and he's run away from 25 different homes because they are not his family, so why should he stay? He's now with a new family in Philadelphia. They are a group home of sorts because the parents themselves were foster children, and as such they've taken on all these other children and treat them as if they are their own, because they are a family. But Billy doesn't want a family. He has a family. He's been able to survive on his own to find his real family. And as such, he doesn't get involved with them. He hates the fact that he is still there, that he cannot be on his own until he's 18 and he is 14. So that's 4 more years of having to deal with fake families that he doesn't want to be involved with. And this is kind of where we see this different side. So we see this in the trailer in the fact that he helps protect his foster brother, even though he doesn't believe in this idea of families. It's here that he's then made the champion of Shazam. Now the word Shazam I started to look up afterwards, and this is what they do say in the film as to what the Shazam word means or stands for, and it's actually an acronym for the different abilities in which Shazam has. So the interesting fact of this is what it stands for, and I do have it written, so bear with. So the S stands for Solomon's wisdom, the H, Hercules' strength, A, the stamina of Atlas, so that's the Titan who holds up the sky, yeah. Z, the power of Zeus, because lightning. The other A, courage of Achilles, and M, the speed of Mercury, which is the Roman name for Hermes. So, is it? Oh well, but that's what it stands for. So he gains all these abilities, and I know I'm kind of telling you, basically point by point about this plot, but kind of setting up this benchmark of what these things are is kind of important, because this is the whole point of the film really is, yes, it is a superhero movie. There are superhero aspects. There are comedy aspects of Billy being basically trying to train to be a superhero, but then not taking it seriously. Him and Freddie, who is his foster brother, the disabled foster brother, as we see in the trailer. The two of them work together. The two of them try to find out what's going on, but they do clash because Billy is not taking it seriously. He is using it to his own gain because he can get money from it. He can use it to his advantage because he doesn't need anyone. And as such, this leads to problems later on, because with Billy's need to not need people, and Thaddeus's need, at least at the start, before we got very, very seriously messed up because of the deadly sins, he needed his family. He needed them to accept him. He needed them to feel proud of him. And then as soon as he had this power, that changed. He no longer needed family. He no longer needed their approval or their love. He had power. That's all he needed. And this is kind of, you see this difference and similarity between the villain and the hero, which I think is always important with hero and villain dynamics, because you kind of have to see this difference and similarity in each other, because how else are you going to be able to understand them? You can feel empathy for them, at least on the hero side, and occasionally the villain side, depending on what kind of story it is. But I think it was interesting to have the hero and villain start with different viewpoints and have that flip. So Billy didn't want a family. He didn't need a family. Thaddeus wanted his family. He wanted their love and their approval. We then switch. Billy has a family. He needs this family. He loves this family. Thaddeus needs no family. He doesn't want a family. He has what he wants, and that's power. And this is where we see the ultimate difference in it. Billy learns from his mistakes. He learns that through having a family, through having people to kind of have a purpose for and to kind of love and care for, can make everything better. And we see this in the fact that he loses a lot of his fights. He loses just a lot in general until he has something to fight for, which is his family. And I think that's kind of a really sweet message. I know this is something that either the director or the writer talked about, and if I can find the interview, I'll link it down below. But the whole point of this film was that it wasn't meant to just be a superhero film. It was meant to be a film about family and understanding family. And I can really see that in this film, because, like, yes, there was the superhero points. There was the fact that this is a kid with suddenly adult responsibilities and superhuman responsibilities who doesn't want them and just wants to use them to, like, just for his own gain, to then change to want to save people because he wants to save his family as well. He wants to protect his family. And I think that's kind of what has made this film incredibly great. Incredibly great? Incredibly good. Well, it made sense either way. I don't know why I rechanged my words. But Shazam in general, I think, is possibly, other than maybe Wonder Woman, my favourite DC superhero movie, which really isn't hard because there aren't that many good DC movies anymore. But because even though yes there were the dark moments, there was the comedic moments, but it wasn't even just that. It had more depth than just a regular superhero film. It wasn't just about these people with superhuman abilities. It had something more. And his family gets involved in that, because at the end, so there was this reference at the start to all these thrones in the Rock of Eternity, which is where Shazam was, and there was like these wizard thrones for like his family, and that Billy was meant to kind of find a way to kind of help restore that, and he does by all of his family, all the kids in the group home who are a family, they all join together and become Shazams, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to call them Shazams. And I kind of really like that, because it shows that the strength of a family is more powerful than anything. And I know that's not always the case in certain situations, but in this it's kind of, yeah, they are a family, but they're not family by blood, they're family by choice. And this relates to a beautiful quote that I love in this film. I do have it written down here because I couldn't fit it on my whiteboard. And this comes from the foster mother, Rosa, or was it Victor? I don't know. It comes from one of them. And it is, it's not a home till you want it to be. And it's this idea that where home is where you decide to make it. So it could be home with your family, it could be a home that you make for yourself, and so on and so forth. And I think that's kind of what this film represents. And for a superhero film to actually have depth, but then kind of not be too serious, and still be able to kind of make fun of itself with like ridiculous things, because like it's a kid being an adult. There's gonna be stupid stuff, and the stupid stuff works. And like the cinema was laughing, I was laughing. It was just, it was brilliant. But I'm gonna wrap this up because I think I've rambled on a bit too much and not kind of really talked too much about it. So let's get on to the final points, and I'll try to stop rambling. To those coming back, overall Shazam was an incredible film. The story had depth, it had a focus on what it was like to be a child, what it's like to be a person with responsibility, what it's like to have a non-conventional family. And yes, it was a superhero film, but it had so much more depth than that. And I know not everyone appreciates that, not everyone kind of wants that. Sometimes you just want a film of like superheroes kicking ass. And admittedly there's a lot of that too, so you know, there's things for everyone here. But I also, in general, I think this film gave a lot more than what I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be a plain and simple comedy, but it was a lot more than that. So because of the fact that I really enjoyed it, that I can't actually wait. I want the sequel now. That's basically where I'm going with this. Because of all of that, I'm giving Shazam an 8 out of 10. And I highly recommend you guys go and see it. What did you guys think of Shazam? Did you enjoy it? Did you think it wasn't as good as I'm making it out to be? What did you enjoy about the film itself? What were your favourite scenes? Let me know in the comment section down below. But in general guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to watch the trailer for Shazam to see whether or not you want to see it, if you couldn't decide from my review of sorts, the link to the trailer is in the description box down below, as well as the link to my Instagram and Patreon, where on Patreon you can get early access to any and all of my videos, as well as have a say as to what comes out in future. Here on YouTube, however, if you guys aren't already subscribed, go to the button down below or click the one popping up here on screen. If you want to check out any of my previous film reviews, the playlist will be popping up here, and then something else superhero related will be popping up here. But again guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.